Good afternoon, everyone. It's Kirsten here from Kirsten Foss Coaching for a Thursday spa business break. So last Thursday, I ditched my spa business break. I was feeling very, very tired, and if you read my blog post this past week, you'll hear the story about what happened last Thursday. But I'm back and ready to roll, and today I want to talk to you about the 3 reasons why you want to have a training and ongoing coaching program for your spa business if you have a team. Now, I think this is a fairly new concept for the spa industry. I'd say in the past 5 years, I've noticed spa owners are starting to understand the value of having a structured training program and as well as ongoing coaching. And it's because they often realize the problems that it causes not having those systems in place. So a lot of times I think as spa owners, especially if we've been in this business for a really long time, there's some old habits that are really hard to die. And one of them is this piece that has to do with training and coaching. Now, the old way of doing things was often to the owner felt like most of the work came with the recruiting and hiring, and that the training that was involved was really more about orientation of the facility, showing how to do a few of the treatments, but it was really lackluster and not in depth enough. So it was really no surprise when, a couple months down the road, even a month down the road, they're getting complaints from clients from this new hire, or people, there's just the retention is not happening at all. So all of a sudden these red flags show up and the owner is wondering what the heck is happening. And then often putting blame on the new hire as far as they're the problem. And really what it comes down to is often they were throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So they were having a conversation with the new hire. This isn't working. Let's cut ties. And then the owner has a bad taste in their mouth about hiring. But the problem is they really did not set their hire up for success. So let's dive into the 3 reasons why you need to have a training and coaching program if you are deciding to commit to having a team. Having a team is it should not be a fast decision at all. This needs to be a well thought out decision. It needs to be a well thought out financial decision. You need to know that hiring is not a fast growth initiative. Hiring is a slow growth initiative. It takes time for new team members to get rolling, to get up to par, to build their clientele. It takes like a good solid year for that to happen. So today I want to make sure that you're managing your own expectations of what's expected of the hire when you do hire them. All right, because it's not all about them. It's not all their fault if you haven't provided a really thorough training program and ongoing coaching. All right, the first reason why you want to have a training program and ongoing coaching is that because you want to have repeatable, consistent guest experience. That's why you're open. That's why you're here, is to give an experience to the people in your community. And if it's not consistent, if you can't repeat it with other team members, then you've got a problem. Then you've got problems like client retention, because a lot of times people just won't come back. They won't complain to the owner. They just won't go back. So if you're struggling with your guest experience being consistent and you have a team, to me, that is a huge red flag that there are likely some big gaps in their training. Perhaps they need to be retrained. That happens, especially if you're realizing, whoa, I dropped the ball on the training and now we're seeing what's happening. Okay, we need to regroup. I need to create a training program and I'm going to run them through it again, or I'm going to run them through it the first time, so that everybody is on the same page when it comes to executing the guest experience. When we create a training system before we hire, this allows us it sets us up for success, so that we're not running around trying to put out fires like a couple of months later, and it sets your team member up for success because they know what's expected. then all you need to do is, it's like the flywheel concept. If any of you have followed me for a little while, I love the flywheel concept. It applies to everything in your business. I read this from Jim Collins' book, From Good to Great. He's more in corporate, but the concept of the flywheel is the same. If a flywheel is a really big, heavy wheel, weighted wheel, and when you try to get the wheel going, it takes a lot of effort to push that wheel just to get it moving just a little bit. But if we keep pushing, if we keep applying that same consistent effort, the wheel gets going. It goes a little bit easier, then it starts speeding up. That is what systems do for your business. They act like a flywheel, so that as it gets going, you only have to do little pushes. That's what your ongoing coaches are, the little push on the flywheel, to get it going. It takes much less effort than having to go back with a staff member or the whole team and completely regroup on your training. So if you're struggling with your client retention, because client retention is all about client satisfaction. If they're not happy with the service that they got, or the experience that they had, they just won't come back. So go and take a look at your client retention numbers. If you notice that they're all low, then it's time to start doing some major strategy with your business. If you see there's just a few of your staff members that have lower retention than the others, that's the flag there. Time to start doing some investigating. Why aren't clients coming back? Possibly they could need some brushing up on their training or retraining. All right, number 2, the second reason why you need a training and coaching system in your business is, I kind of wove that into number 1, is to set your team members up for success. It is so frustrating. I'm sure some of you have gone and have worked for an employer that is kind of like a hot mess. It is so frustrating when the owner is not organized, especially when you come in as a new hire, especially if you're talented and you realize this is kind of not what I thought it was going to be. Then that's part of that, setting your team member up for success. If you want them to hit certain goals, certain sales goals, or have a certain amount of clientele, a consistent clientele, then you need to train them. You need to keep that ongoing coaching happening. And it sets you up for success. So although it's work at the beginning to create a training system, it honestly is that flywheel. You set both of you up for success, and any kind of adjustments or problems that come up or issues that come up, again, it's like the flywheel. You just need to do a little push, a little adjustment, and we can keep the wheel going. Number 3 is to ensure that the whole team is working congruently towards the same business outcomes. And your business outcomes are profitability. Your business outcomes are client retention. If we haven't set our team up for success with training, then of course our business outcomes are going to be inconsistent. So if you're struggling with trying to get your team on board as far as working towards the same goals, it could be that the problem starts way back as far as their training. Maybe you train one person a little differently than you train the other person, and everybody's kind of doing a little bit of their own thing. Maybe your training had too many areas of kind of openness, of interpretation. That's when you start getting everybody's own little ways of doing things coming into protocols, which could totally tank what you're looking for in terms of business outcomes. So do yourself a favor. If you are thinking about starting a team up, I want you to consider, to the point of making sure you do it, I'd like you to consider making sure that you are giving yourself enough time to create a training program, as well as ongoing coaching. Now, when I talk about ongoing coaching, this isn't about just, if somebody messes up or there's a mistake, that you're pulling them aside to do one-on-one, to have some coaching. That's one aspect of coaching your team. The other aspect is having monthly one-on-one meetings to talk about goal setting, to talk about what kind of strategies do they need support with for their to increase their sales. and then having some sort of follow-up with that. So coaching doesn't necessarily have to be all negative. There is definitely some positive pieces in there that will really help your team to feel supported and valued. Another way for ongoing coaching is to have daily huddles with your team. The daily huddles are like little teeny tiny staff meetings. They're very focused. They usually you would have a piece of paper with your categories on there that you want to discuss, and it's short and sweet. And so that's another way of having ongoing coaching with your team, so that everybody is working towards the same guest experience, everybody's working towards the same business outcomes, and everybody is feeling supported in their career by you. So if you have had some success with your own training, maybe you've had some frustrations with your own training, because I think what I notice in my coaching practice is that most of you have all your training up here, and when it comes down to documenting it, you realize, and this is what we've noticed with these spa owners, what they realize is there's actually quite a few gaps in their processes. And especially when it's all up in their head, the gaps get even bigger. So make sure you're documenting your training program. From the moment, there should be different levels of your training programs. It starts with orientation, goes to the, module 1 of your training program. It's going to be different for guest services or reception as it is for aesthetics. So you're going to have to, if you have both of those departments, you're going to have 2 of those training programs. It's just what it takes to run a bigger business. You've got to systematize it. Otherwise, you're going to make yourself crazy. You may already feel crazy. It's okay. I can help you with that. If you are struggling with your team and you don't even know where to start with it, it could be just a total hot mess. I totally get that. That happens. Then reach out to me, and we can talk about your specific business in detail, what the exact needs are, and I can walk you through what it would look like to work with me in a coaching program to put together your staff handbook, put together your operations manual, as well as your training program. All right, that's it for me for today's Thursday Spa Business Break. I will be back here next week with more of the same. We'll see you then.